It's over. The dust has settled on Spring Break 2018, and it's time to look it over. This year, Spring Break's theme was presented via the site thetruthisreallyreal.com, in which Skeptic Guy 96 told us of the latest conspiracies surrounding the Payday gang, the Kataru organization, and the FBI. Let's take a look all throughout the event and weigh on exactly what we got. Or, in other words, let's talk about Spring Break 2018. Day 1 of Spring Break introduced us to a brand new heist, Break-In Feds, a stealth-only mission taking place back at the FBI headquarters from Hoxton Breakout. I've got to say, it's a charming little place, and I love the ambiance, the stormy night. What I don't like is the stealth gameplay in Payday 2. Like, as a whole. I don't have the patience for stealth, and to be blunt, I spent about 3 hours on this mission, and I think I came close maybe twice to finishing it. I'll put it this way. I can open the gate at the start of the heist 1 and 3 times on hard. Whether that's a sign of the map design being lackluster or my incompetence at stealth, that's entirely up to you. You need to get into Commissioner Garrett's room, find a safe, punch in a code to open it. Should be easy enough, right? But remember, this is the FBI. There's so many guards in this heist that the assault wave ticker might as well be on screen at all times. There's a thematic reason for the mission being stealth only. Locke wants us to take what Garrett's holding without him knowing it was us, and if he sees the Payday crew in their iconic masks, he'll know they're responsible, and we don't want to lose Locke too. But it's stealth gameplay. Well, Day 1 at least came with some live gameplay as well. 3 new night vision masks. Well, 1 with 2 old Cloaker theme masks getting night vision as well, and by holding the fire mode selector button, you can switch it on. It lights up dark areas at the cost of flattening the shading. It's hard to judge depth with it on, and honestly, I already play a high brightness setting, so I don't necessarily need the night vision, but it's a really nice addition. It's a tiny bit of polish to a game that's 5 years old. This type of stuff is really neat, and it adds just a nice little, to the game, which Payday 2 kind of needs if it wants to see a sunset anytime soon. We need to clean up what's there and present this is Payday 2 as a whole. And night vision goggles actually working is a nice touch. There was also a flashlight melee. It's a melee. Don't got much more to say about that one. Day 2 brought us a stream from Overkill. It turned out that this event would be running every other day instead of daily like we all thought. Rather than 7 days of content like we hoped, or 5 like usual, we're getting 4. But that's fine. Let's just see what Day 3's got to offer. And it was all about Duke. We got a new safe from the man himself and a new Mega Mask, which we certainly definitely needed more of, just sent our way. Duke's safe, though, is very classy. I like it. There's lots of bronze and gold and ebony, befitting a gentleman adventurer like himself. Additionally, many of the community's most requested achievements became a reality, and Overkill began to award anyone with over 1,000 unlocked achievements a second new mask in a combination of armor, weapon skin, truly befitting a badass burglar like yourself. The skin's okay, the armor's pretty nice, and the mask, nice. Little quality of life improvements and incentives like the achievements and even the night vision in the first day really bring Payday to life. I can't say no to polishing up a game that's still a little rough around the edges this late into its life. Day 3 is also when I realized just how Duke-centric a lot of this event is, especially because this is a character the community created and voted on. It's weird, to me at the very least, that he's such an important character. He's why we went to Brooklyn Bank, and he's what's propelling the plot as of right now. I did some digging, and this is probably some old news for some of you, but this is because Duke's characterization was given to the newest writer for Payday 2, Joe, otherwise known as Wordsmith. Joe is a veteran in the game's writing industry, and given Payday 2 had a year left when he was hired, Joe became the head of the ARG surrounding Bane, Garrett, and the mother of all heists thing the whole game's been setting up. His first task was to bulk out the character of Duke, and effectively Mr. Lindenhurst seems to have become a favorite child of Wordsmith. And between his banter with Chains about donuts at the start of Break-In Feds, his involvement in Brooklyn Bank's plot, and now all of Day 3, that favoritism is starting to show quite a bit. That said, this is no different from Jiro's event from a year or two back. It's not a complaint, just an observation. I'm not going to say no to giving some of these flat characters a little more depth. Day 4 presented us with an AMA session on Twitter that really didn't amount to much, and as for Day 5... Magic missile! 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 No, you're not seeing double. Overkill did it, the absolute madman. There's 30 new Akimbo sets. 30. That's as many as 3/10. And that's questionable. And if that's not enough, there's a fucking minigun to I'm sorry, microgun to boot, the XL556. Seeing how there's just one of those, let's start with that. The XL556, to my knowledge, isn't based on any real-world gun. It's custom built and it's rocking that well. This thing would not look out of place in Duke Nukem 3, Iron Maiden, or a custom Doom wad. Compared to the Vulcan, the thing does 10 more damage per round, but at only 2,000 rounds per minute versus the Vulcan's 3,000, with the same accuracy, stability, and reload speed. And as for concealment, it can only hit 8 at most, whereas the Vulcan could hit 13. It's about a side grade to the Vulcan. It seems like it should be a little worse, but honestly, I really love the simplicity here. 2,000 rounds a minute is more than manageable if you're used to the 3,000 the Vulcan fires. The damage difference keeps the DPS about equal, all things considered. It's pretty taser resistant, given that you're firing less bullets per second. The pickup's really healthy, and that sound design is, it sounds like construction. I don't know how else to put it, like a big jackhammer tearing into concrete. They're doing a bunch of work at the Sears Tower, and they've got these huge trucks with the jackhammer, and you just hear the sound of metal hitting concrete all day. It sounds like a super heavy machine gun, and it's pretty much what this thing sounds like. It's a beautiful sound, and a beautiful gun. I like the XL556. I will definitely be using this thing in the future. But what about the Akimbos? Well, there's 30 of these things, and there's no way I could play a heist with all 30 of them, so I picked the ones that stood out to me the most. The Mark 10s, the Judges, the Broomstick Carbines, and the Strikes. So first off, none of these Akimbo are DLC options, even when the single weapon would be DLC. This is the intended action, according to Jules, and it seems to give players a taste of what the Ultimate Edition has to offer, but it's a really lackluster way to go about it in my eyes. It's not really that big of an issue in the long run. It just is weird that I could use 2 Jackets pieces without DLC, but I'd need to purchase Hotline Miami 2 Digital Deluxe Edition just to use one. I mean, it's not like they started selling Payday 2 without its DLC or anything, so there's that at the very least. So, the Broomsticks caught my eye, because surely I couldn't turn them into the trench rifles with the precision barrel, right? Oh. And yeah, you shoot both at the same time, doing a ton of damage with a miserable flat rate of 2 bullets per box. Seeing how the Broomstick's already a DMR for your secondary slot, and you really don't need to carry 2, but you can. The Judges showcased the other problems today, brought with the shotguns being affected by close-by ace, giving them a whopping 40 shells to a magazine out of 40 in reserve. And that was paired with an interesting bug where the Judges, the Broncos, or really a lot of the guns for that matter, had no recoil whatsoever, turning the Judges into an unholy cone of nightmares that killed anything that were in front of them and could not be stopped ever. The Mark 10s were honestly alright. They worked like you'd expect. You got recoil and they reload pretty quickly and they shoot their bullets pretty nicely. And then the strikes happened. These things fired at a rate of 1364 RPM with 2 projectiles each, so they technically spit more lead than the XL microgun. And if we slap these into my trigger-happy overkill frenzy build, we're technically doing 16,000 damage per second. Do we need a 5-figure DPS number? No. Is that going to stop me from having one? No. Any of these akimbo weapons above like 800 RPM are going to be out of bullets faster than you can ever imagine, and the end results, a lot of these are unviable. They're fun, but unviable. Now, I've been a proponent of akimbo CMP submachine guns to make that thing relevant again for a while, and things like the Mark 10s, the Leos, the Gruber Kerrs, and the Chicago Typewriters. Honestly, really nice touches. I've always wanted to embrace my inner Prohibition-era mobster, but there's a distinct focus on quantity, not quality, that's led to a lot of broken weapons. The best comparison I have for this akimbo kerfuffle on day 5 is probably the chocolate cake from Matilda. Sure, having a slice of cake's really good. You just need one every now and again. Akimbo in moderation are always welcome. You add 2, you add 3, maybe you add 5, and that's fine. But there's just so much, it becomes overwhelming. The sweetness of something new becomes nausea or confusion from just too many all at once. What makes the akimbo CMPs different from the Mark 10s? How about the cross vertexes, the jackets pieces, and the micro Uzis? They've all got the same damage and fire rate. The Akimbo 805Bs? Those are full-on battle rifles. Why can't I dual wield those? Dual MP40s and Swedish Ks? Why? There's a lot going on here. It honestly makes my head spin. I could see myself using some of these, the Akimbo Mark 10s, and maybe the Judges and some of the pistols when those get patched, the Goliaths too. But otherwise, what we end up here is just there's too much of this all at once. Just grab a bunch of them, run out of Continental coins modding them, and just play some heists with them. That's all I can really offer. Day 6 was best summed up with the entirety of Connor Shaw's video as follows.
There's a stream!
So then we get to the final day of the event. The achievements looked like they were setting up for this to be a big heist. And was it? But day 7? Day 7 was so intense, Jiro won't talk to us anymore. Must have shook him that hard. More on that later. Spoilers, huge spoilers, like so many spoilers, just just everywhere to throw up another one. Locke is sending us into Henry's Rock, a murky water facility housing some stuff for the Kataru. You see, the thing we stole in Break and Fez was one of the crypts of Kataru, one of these 3 massive golden boxes that once belonged to 3 ancient kings. These kings enlisted the help of a cleric to produce Baldwin's Lament, a device with the ability to alter reality and rip people from existence. And the kings used Baldwin's Lament to rule the world. Their empire eventually fell. But still, thousands of years later, they're still after these crypts and they're still looking to rule the world. They were looking to trade Bane to the FBI in exchange for the 3rd one of these crypts. But we took it then and we're taking these other 2 from them now. Busting into the facility, we hack a computer to unlock 2 of 4 wings. A computer room, a weapons lab, a biotech lab for some reason, or an archaeology lab to grab their boxes. One of them is the dentist's loot, which is interesting. Once we grab both, we take them past a really scary window and into a helicopter. Wait, we gotta take out the turrets. Hack the panels, or hack up the turrets, and call in the chopper, and we can get the final 2 crypts of Kataru out of here. But what do I think about this heist gameplay-wise? It's fun. It's full of spawners and has some mediocre cover, but it's still manageable on Mayhem. I've played it with Anarchist and Sociopath, and it didn't go down terribly often. And it's definitely best with a regen deck like Grinder, maybe some dodge, definitely not for an armor or tanky ICTV build. And hey, if you are planning to run Grinder, you might want to check out the XL556 in that case, or maybe something a little bit more powerful. This heist is probably closest stylistically to Boiling Point for me. We've got a central location we attend to that requires reaching out through the capillaries of the facility, and cops can pour in from anywhere around the perimeter. On Death Wish and Death Sentence, the spawns are a little bit too overwhelming, but otherwise what we have here is a pretty solid little heist. Nothing groundbreaking, but nothing terrible. A solid 6.5, 7 out of 10. Commendable effort, visually stunning. I love the puzzles, I love the look of this map, but we've had some better heists. But what about its place story-wise, and the little Easter eggs throughout? Well, for starters, in the archaeology lab, you can find 4 ancient versions of the Payday masks, which I believe ties into Baldwin's Lament as a time travel tool, I think. That's pretty neat. Pressing the red button deploys a bunch of turrets. Don't do that. And, yeah, we've got to talk about the window. The man in the chair cannot be Skeptic Guy, the host of the ARG. He died. That's gotta be Bane. I mean, they're taunting us, the Payday crew, with this man tied up and covered in blood. This has gotta be Bane. The man behind him in a lab coat and high-waisted pants with glasses and a red narrow tie. The only man we know that fits the bill is the dentist, who has been working against Bane. And what about the man in the window staring us down? Well, it's not very obvious at a glance, but if you were to no-clip into this man, you find, have I mentioned spoiler tags, like for real, like really seriously, like skip past this part if you want to find this out for yourself. Kento. This murky water man is Kento. That's why Jiro's fallen silent. He found his son, but at what cost? Kento is working for Murky Water, who is working for the FBI, who is working for Kataru, all of which are coming together to try to rid the world of the Payday gang. Jiro, as a father discovering his son, is actively working to get him removed from existence. That's really depressing overkill. Do you guys need help? Henry's Rock is a pretty nice little heist, all things considered, and story-wise, there's a ton to chew into here. I love it. This event's given us a lot more to worry about. The fate of the world now rests in the hands of a pack of clowns. And we're more than a stone's throw away from the thermal drills and armed robberies of old. But gameplay-wise, it's alright, more or less, which kind of leads me to my big question on the event. Gameplay-wise, what did Spring Break 2018, The Truth is Really Real, actually really bring? A stealth heist, a loud heist, a bunch of akimbo we really didn't need, and a chain gun, along with a safe and some masks. That's not a lot of content when you get down to the brass tacks, and a lot of it is that the event was over the course of 7 days and not 10. We missed out on a day of content that way. I was kind of hoping we get joy somewhere in this, but we didn't. Still, we got really good little morsels of plot here and there. I'm excited as heck for the plot of Payday, which is something I would have never said. But there was a distinct pull for quantity over quality with the weapons. The microgun's fun, but so many of these akimbos are ridiculous and or unusable. And as a whole, I'm glad we got what we did, and I love the plot developments, but we need just a bit more to bulk this out. And I don't mean we need to artificially inflate the akimbo numbers or whatever. We need some real meaningful content, stuff that could stand on its own instead of acting like Payday is compensating for something. Again, I don't hate what we got, but I feel like the Akimbo update has meant to make up for lack of overall content when there's other stuff we could have gotten that would have better fit the sneaky conspiracy content we had at the outset. The quality of the story presented more than makes up for this, in my opinion, though. I still liked Spring Break 2018, and I hope we get more plots sooner or later. And I want to see Baldwin's Lament in action now. My final verdict is that I enjoyed Spring Break, and I'm excited for more, but we do need a bit more sooner rather than later. Here's hoping Joy can make the jump to PC soon, and here's hoping we get more plot soon. And maybe we can return Duke to his home time of 1905. Wait, I didn't spoiler tag that, did I? Hey, this was a crazy video. I've really seriously screwed up my upload schedule making this. Social media links and Patreon in the description. I'll see you on Friday. We're uploading a day late this week, and then next week we're going to be back on time.